I'm super like big on just being present for
Yeah.
moments, because that I think is more important. As much as I think leaving a good inheritance is important, I also think leaving great memories is
Yeah.
important, because at the end of the day, that's something no one can take away.
Yeah.
No one can take away the conversations that you will have with Nuri.
Yeah.
No one can take away those 3 kisses that you share with Zani every day.
That's
And whatever happens in life, whether there's a recession or there's a pandemic or whatever,
They have
he
that.
will have that experience, and that will stay in his heart.
This is our love story. This is our journey.
Hello, guys. Welcome to another weekly episode of Our Love Journey.
Hey guys, it's good to be back. Yeah, man, you guys are still out there supporting what we're doing. Our last video, Kunja, what were we speaking about?
Oh, the last video I did with Dr. Moles with the bedwetting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was such a great video. Like, I learned quite a lot because I actually related to quite a lot of what was being said.
Yeah.
But there's no need to go into detail. But yeah, man, it was so nice to see all the people who felt
Who
like they were being
relate.
helped.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of enlightenment and a lot of stories were shared, which is what we always want. Like people genuinely don't know. So a lot of people
Wanna
are
start a
punishing
conversation.
people are punishing their kids not out of malice or trying to be funny, but because they just think that's the only way. So
Yeah.
having a conversation like that, I think can free a lot of people. So yeah, thank you guys for sending in your messages, sending your stories. It really helps get the conversation going.
Yeah.
And I think to just jump into what today's conversation is about, before we get into our review, people said, thank you so much for this conversation on parenting. And we've been getting a lot of questions on how we parent. And so we just figured today, let our conversation be around conscious parenting.
Yeah.
Now, you don't necessarily have to be a parent to listen to this, but even if you're just a child or plan on being a parent, or you interact with people who have kids.
I think that's a big one, because I think a lot of people might not have children, but you're an auntie or you're an
Yeah.
uncle, and so the way you interact with other kids, sometimes
Yeah.
you don't even know
Yeah.
what you're doing, or how big of an impact it has on that child.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I mean, I think we found ourselves in situations where we kind of have to give a little bit of an education on you can't talk to our kids like that. And without trying to be funny, but because for us, it's just such a strong thing. So I think it
It's
helps.
important.
Yeah, if you've got friends with parents and you really care about the kids and the parents, to just educate yourself a little more and yeah.
Yeah, and especially because there's certain ages where kids, that's when they develop,
Yeah.
and that's when they basically build up their personalities
Yeah.
and their confidence,
Yeah.
and you want to be protective from
Of
that
your kids.
age,
Yeah,
and
like
make sure.
you can't just go to someone and shout, "Uya papa wena."
Yeah, Uriakanga, yo, lo mntwana, yo,
And it-
uyadelela. Oh, that was
that was a big one for you.
I remember. I mean, I think Nuri was like, she must have been like 5 months, and someone, I won't mention who, was like, yo, uyadelela. I'm like, hang on,
Hold
this
up.
child is 5 months.
Uyadelela
Uyadelela
kanjani?
kanjani?
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think we've educated now and we've also grown. So yeah, it's been
Yeah.
good. Before we get into that, let us get into today's review. I'm reading a review, basically a comment from YouTube, and it's from Buteba, and she or he says, I listened to this on Spotify, but I'm here on YouTube to listen for the 3rd time. This was such a wholesome episode, especially after waiting for weeks for a new one. And I think this was in relation to red flags. I got it from red
Oh,
flags.
yeah.
So
That was a good one.
yeah, that was a really good one. You guys, we were trending.
Yeah, we trended for like a week. It was amazing. People really, people had their own red flags in the comments.
Yeah,
But no, thank you for the review. It's always nice to know that you guys are, it's not just comments, but
Yeah.
people take their time to send
Yeah.
an email or to leave a review.
Yeah.
It makes such a difference, because some people come to the podcast that they've never listened to it. They don't know Mrs. Mom, they don't know the great Brendan Praise.
Oh, wow.
And so all they have to go with is the review.
Yeah. So thank you guys. And just for, I think I read specifically that we're available on platforms such as Spotify,
Yeah.
Apple Podcasts. I know you guys love the video stuff, but also listening on audio. That's how I consume podcasts when I'm driving on audio. It's
Yeah,
the
because
best.
sometimes you don't have time to be sitting watching for like 35 minutes or whatever. But while you're driving, while you're doing your run, your morning walk, you can
It's the best
definitely have
time.
us there with you.
Yeah. And today's podcast is brought to you by MedShield Medical Scheme. MedShield has launched an incredible resource-filled MedShield Mom website. So get access to a wide library of health and wellness content pertaining to pregnancy, baby health, raising toddlers, and being a healthy new mom. Expectant mothers can sign up for personalized pregnancy journeys whereby weekly correspondence is sent to you relating to the development of your unborn child. It's just another way that MedShield Medical Scheme is adding more support and value to its members across different stages of life. So thank you to MedShield for partnering with us. They make sure that we get all this wonderful information to you guys, and more than that, having an entire website dedicated to mothers. Alrighty, let's get into today's conversation. So before we get into the talking, I obviously always open up with either a quote, but today I got like a little 9 strategies for parenting today's children, right? Under conscious parenting. Number 1, treat them with respect. Number 2, listen to their opinions. Number 3, explain why. Number 4, empower them. 5, find alternatives to punishment. 6, encourage negotiation to achieve win-win solutions. 7, have fun together. Remember to play with your child. 8, connect with your divine guidance, God, whoever you believe in. Number 9, ask, what would love do? What do you think of? Do you agree with all of them?
No,
Okay.
I don't agree with a lot of them, but
Okay.
I agree with some.
Okay.
Yeah.
What don't you agree with?
There's one said like no punishment. Well, what kind of world is that?
Okay.
Like, where there's no punishment. So I don't agree with that. I think there should be punishment, because there should be consequences to actions, because that's how real life works.
Agreed.
So that, and then also negotiating. I think I'm on the fence with that. I think
Okay.
there's times when you can negotiate, but there's things that are hard no's and hard yeses.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that in itself is like, it's not like just a blanket thing where it's like, I negotiate with my kids.
Yeah.
No, like I'm not negotiating some of those things.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 ones that those are the 2 ones that I have a little bit of issues with. Wena, how are you feeling about it?
I agree with all of them.
All of them.
Listen,
No punishment.
I don't. It depends. I think we should define punishment.
So punishment is the consequences for your actions. So
Okay.
it's like if you eat something that doesn't belong to you or whatever, or no, actually, if you steal, right?
Yeah.
You go to jail.
Yeah.
That is the punishment
Okay.
for what you've done. It's as a result of your own doing.
Yes.
It's not some extramural. No, it's you. You did it. So I
Okay.
would say, but obviously with kids, it's not as severe. We're not sending them to jail.
So that's what I wanted to get to, that maybe we should move away from the word punishment. So instead of saying to our kids,
So rehabilitation then.
no, like this is the consequence of what you're doing. So for example, if our kids are being disrespectful to like guests or to us, what we do is we give them time out.
Yes,
so
so that's a
what
punishment.
so the problem with using the word punishment is that the moment, I think the way we were brought up, when we think punishment, it's like your kids are here, they being rude to guests, and immediately they get a smack on the bum and that's it. And they never understand, why did I get a smack on the bum? And now they associate having guests over at the house as it's not a fun experience for me. So now why I agree is that when we get to explain why, empower them, treat them with respect, is, for example, our kids have a bit of social anxiety. So when there's new people coming over into the house and we see
They
them
do weird
acting,
stuff.
they do weird stuff.
Just like, whose-
I'm just
whose
like,
child is
what
this?
are you doing?
Yeah.
So now imagine a child is acting out of need and
or-
fear, and then we just chuck them outside or just punish them. So what we do, or what I do, is I'll say, please stop it. Don't do that. You're being disrespectful. I'll explain what exactly is happening. And if it's not stopping, eventually I'll just be like, I am taking you outside because you have been very disrespectful and mommy has told you to stop it.
Yeah, look. So I think you agree that there
I
should be
agree.
some level of facing.
Absolutely.
You can't just have free will
No,
to do whatever you want.
No.
But you're right.
Yeah.
I think explaining to kids exactly
Explaining.
what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one.
We grew up with being told, "I'll give you a reason to cry when you cry."
Yeah. So I think we give our kids reasons as to
Why you gonna cry?
Why they're gonna cry. But
Yeah.
yeah, look, I think what you've just explained it so beautifully, and I agree with that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I do agree. And what's the other one? Negotiation. So I was just listening to Michelle Obama's podcast, and she had her mother on and her brother, and basically I've read her book and how her parents raised
her.
them. Is that they basically were raising adults. They weren't raising babies, right? So they were raising responsible adults. And I guess it's also about finding balance here. But the negotiation for me opens up confidence and questioning and conversations for our children. It's not to say that they'll always get their way. For example, we have the dress situation where our
Which is a
daughter
big problem.
it's a big problem now in winter where she only wants to wear dresses. And my initial response was, no, it's cold, that's it. And then Brendan came in and now you have a negotiation. So now the negotiation is, okay, you wear a dress, but you have to wear a jersey. And then she'll be like, but princesses don't wear jerseys. Then I'm like, okay, but now if you're a princess, it's cold, I gave you a dress, you have to give me a jersey. And then you hear how the child's vocabulary increases, how they ask smart questions.
Yeah, even their reasoning.
Their reasoning.
They start to understand.
They understand. So
Yeah.
it allows kids to dig deeper. It's not to say they have their way and they're being disrespectful. It's just the same way if someone tells you, hey, do this. You're not going to just want to do it. You want to know why. How does it benefit me,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah, I think. Look, when you put it that way, because I was gonna say you're actually right. We actually do negotiate a
We
lot.
do.
I know you do it very intentionally.
Yeah.
And I think it's good because, like you said, it helps children reason better. It helps them understand better, like the concept of life.
Yes.
As we live it, right?
Yeah.
And the truth is this: when kids are privileged, it's very hard to find a balance as to what they can have and what they can't have.
That's true.
So I think negotiation becomes super key in
Yeah,
that regard.
it does.
You know, and you do it with toys. Like Mpumi will be like Nuri will pick 2 toys that she really loves.
Yeah.
And Mpumi will make her pick, and you'll just see her heart break. Like
And the toys are 10 rand. 20
yeah,
rand.
yeah, but it's like it's the principle
It
of you can't have your bread and you can't have your cake and eat it too, whatever they say.
Your bread
but
buttered
it's
or something.
yeah, you can't have it buttered on both sides. So you need to understand that sometimes you have to choose. And you don't always get what you want. So I
Yeah.
think negotiating in that regard really helps kids understand the concept of
Yeah.
that and understand the concept of like you said, of even like funny things like weather. Now she understands being cold,
Being
and she understands
hot.
that you have to wear tracksuits,
Yes.
even though you're a princess. Because
it's cold.
because
Yeah.
sometimes weather deals you a hand that you have to then conform your own things and kind of or adapt rather
Make it work.
make it work.
That's
So
life.
there's a lot of lessons that you learn in negotiating and actually talking with these kids as
Yeah.
opposed to just saying "Uzogqoka lento ngikutshela yona."
And that's it.
And that's it, because now you've just taught them that you mean to them, or they just feel like you don't get it. Whereas when you have that conversation, they, even though they're young,
Mm-hmm.
they can understand the concepts that you're bringing to them, and that you're not withholding out of not caring, but you're withholding out of love.
Yeah. Or that in life, whatever life gives you, you just take it. No, that's
Yeah.
not what life is. Sometimes you have to fight with life. You have to reason with life.
Yeah.
And I think bring it to Uzani, who's turning 2. When when we would ask him why he's doing something, his answer would just be cause.
Yeah, it's because
But digging deeper into a child expands his vocabulary. Now it's not just because. Now he can say, because I was naughty, or because this. I mean, it might not always make sense, but you're teaching a child to dig deeper. So what
We're
is
so deep. Even our parenting content is like so deep.
I take parenting very seriously.
Me too.
I think it's one of my most important roles because I'm raising a human being I've been entrusted with a human being who has purpose, and my job is not to not ruin that for her or for him.
Yeah, and I think it's such an honor in itself.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, it's a huge honor, and I think if you look at it that way, you tend to then want to do
Yeah.
the best job that you
I
can.
mean, that's the one thing that makes me cry. If I've been like, and you know this, like if I've been horrible to my kids, like I will fall apart. Like I will like.
Because
break
there are
down.
those moments, and we don't want to make it seem, guys, like it's just gravy.
Yeah, it's
and-
like it's
no,
just
like
berries.
like there's moments when we are not like, and we don't document this part.
Yeah.
So let's just get it right.
Yeah,
Like
and
I
we
don't know
never
which camera,
will.
but like
We
we,
have to
don't
protect our kids.
We protect our kids and we protect ourselves.
Ourselves, yeah.
So I'm not gonna put myself in a way that makes me look like a devil. But
Yeah.
there are those moments when we are harsh with our kids or we lash out at them. And it's just kind of like you said, but at the end of the day, it's also being able to. This is not on the
Recognize.
list, but I really think parents need to learn to apologize to kids.
Yeah.
Generally,
Oh.
people just need to learn to apologize in life. But I do think that there's a place to reconcile with a child when you've hard done
yeah.
them.
Yeah, but our kids demand apologies, so we don't even have a
Yeah,
choice.
no, Nuri's like,
Yeah, it's
"No,
just
you
like
broke
say,
my heart."
Yeah, you broke my heart. I'm sad. Say sorry.
And
What-
then when you apologize, what I love is she'll quickly say, it's okay.
yeah.
Because that, again, it's on the other side of apology.
And you see it even between the two of them. Like if Zani or Nuri harm one another, they'll apologize to each other, and immediately
They'll
they'll say
start
it's
playing
okay,
again.
and they'll look at each other and be like, "It's okay, sister. It's okay, brother." So
And they'll forgive each other.
And they'll forgive each other, and the game goes on.
I wish it was that easy.
Hey,
Road.
what does conscious parenting mean to you as a father?
As a father, I spoke about this on our interview on Metro FM with Nuri.
Yeah.
But it's essentially just having these rubber guidelines that help kids stay true to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I say rubber because I never believe anything should be fixed and like, yeah,
Hardcore, yeah.
hardcore. Like, so it's kind of just having these guidelines and finding out who your child is.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times growing up, we were told who we were.
Yeah.
We weren't really given an opportunity to display who we are from within, right?
Yeah.
So for me as a father, it's like giving the kids options and saying, I want you to figure out who you are.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, at some point, like with our kids, we go, obviously, because it's your child sings one note, all of a sudden, beyond the next Beyonce, you know, they do a dance and you're like, you know, it's like, but you want to open those channels so
Yeah.
that whatever it is that they're good at, they can pursue.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's just then giving them opportunity to find themselves.
Yeah.
And be themselves
Yeah.
in whatever that looks like. So sometimes, yeah, it means giving up my own will on their lives and
Mm-hmm.
my own, like, I mean, like we know with Nuri, as much as Nuri loves being on camera here at the house, she's extremely shy
Yeah.
outside of the house.
Yeah.
You know, so for her to be like, people will be like, oh, TV star. And I'm like, I don't know. Not
yeah.
from where I'm standing. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like giving a child an opportunity to be
themselves.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what conscious parenting means to me as a father. What does it mean to you as a mom? And I want you to go in depth in terms of being a mom of a daughter, one,
Mm-hmm.
and being a mom of a son, if there's a difference.
Oh, of course. there's a huge difference. For me, I think you definitely defined that. Like when I think of my role as a mother and my relationship with my children, I don't think of it as I'm this disciplinarian or I'm this guiding light. But I think of it as I've been the same way. I think of it as my relationship with Christ, right? Or God. God said to me, okay, you've got your desires of your hearts. God gives us desires. I've got my desires. And then there's God's will, right? And ultimately the goal is to align my desires with God's will, right?
Okay.
But even if I never do,
Yeah.
God will not chuck me away. So here's the thing. As soon as we all stand and say, I accept you as my Lord and Savior, come into my heart, you know, you make the confession, you're going to heaven. Whether you murder, you do whatever, you're still going to
Genile,
heaven. Genile. But now, how you act, your disobedience distorts your life. on earth, right? If you're disobedient, you'll still go to heaven if you believe in Christ and you've accepted him. However, the life that you will live will not be the best life that God had planned for you, because ultimately there's consequences, right? But God doesn't chuck you away. So the same way with my relationship with my kids, I have desires for them. I see what they could be, and I see how great they could be, and I try and teach them. But ultimately, my job is not to take them and move them from here and put them here and force my way. I cannot force my will. The same way God does not force his will on me, I cannot force my will on my children. So my job is to just be that light, to be that guide, to be there and say, hey, look, I'm here.
Yeah.
And to ensure that they reach their purpose. So that has always been my big thing as being a mom, is to ensure that my kids live out their best purpose. And even now, I feel like our kids live in our purpose because, one, they're fully present. And two, at the end of the day, every night I ask them, are you happy? Did you have fun? And every night I get an, I am happy. I had fun. And that, for me, I've played my role. So I'm not even looking at being a parent as a teenager or a parent as, I mean, things will change. But right now, at the end of the day, my child, are you happy? Did you have fun?
Sure. Okay. So
You
going
asked me
into
the
the
second
second
question?
part, yeah.
Yes. What was the second question?
So what would you then say is the differences between being a parent of a daughter
Yeah.
and a son in obviously the same contextual environment
Yeah.
that you were in?
This is what makes it hard because I'm a woman and I know what the world has to offer, and this might be a good and a bad thing, because I might be projecting my experiences on my daughter. I'm specifically more harsher. You know, like I expect more excellence from her. I expect her to like there's a lot of tough love with my daughter, because I know that in the real world, when you grow up as a woman, you have to be 10 times better to even be considered. You need to protect your body. Like if Nuri lifts up her dress innocently, my initial thing is to shout at her and say, don't do that, you know, because I want to protect her. I don't want her to be raped. I don't want her to be sexualized. But if Zani pulls down his pants, like I'll be irritated, but I don't see it as a danger. Do you understand? So when I'm raising my daughter, it's more shielding from danger. Whereas when I'm raising my son, it's more giving of more love, because men don't get love from the world, right? They get everything else, but very little love. So for my son, it's come, let mommy cuddle you. I love you. Do you love mommy? We even have a thing now where he kisses me here, kisses me here, and he kisses me here. And then he looks at me and I say, thank you, boy. And he says, you're welcome. So
Yeah. No, I've definitely seen that.
so from raising a son, it's I want to give him as much love as possible, because everything else, I'm not worried. I'm not worried if Sunny's going to be successful. I'm not worried if Sunny's going to get he's going to get by in life based on merit. I know he will. Nuri, at the end of the day, she has to prove herself.
Okay.
But like I said, I could be projecting based on my experiences, because the world is changing.
I think what I like about the way you approach parenting the kids is that you're really more focused on who they become as people
Yeah.
than who they become in the world.
Yeah.
And that for me is super, super key. And I think it's important when you're raising kids. Like, we're not raising doctors, we're raising people.
We're raising people.
People that are going to live with
We don't
other
care what
people.
they become.
Yeah, like there's great doctors that are terrible people.
Yeah. And you know what? I always refer to the scripture that a good father leaves an inheritance for his children's children, right? And that's how I justify that. I don't want my kids to have a money problem. Like when they grow up, they shouldn't be solving a money problem. They should be solving a heart problem. Maybe not solving a heart problem, but working to be their best self in whatever career or place or purpose they're in. We should, as parents, it's our responsibility to make sure that our kids are taken care of.
100%. And I think what makes it hard is that when you have financial problems, it immediately steps its way up to the top of your problems.
Yeah.
So you still have all those
All
other
the
problems.
other problems are still there.
But now you have to solve for this one first, because
Yeah.
this is a either eat or I don't eat type
Yeah.
of thing. So
Yeah.
definitely eliminating that out of the equation makes, I think, for a better opportunity for kids to really find themselves and be the
Absolutely.
best and be successful in their careers and whatnot. but also be successful as human beings because you have enough time, like you
Yeah.
said, to kind of do the inner work.
Yeah. I mean, just a small example, like when we just got married and we've got our first place, like we weren't stressed about getting furniture. We could enjoy our marriage because our parents gave us couches.
Yeah.
And that's just on a smaller scale. And I know
Yeah.
in the black community, you will spoil a child, but we have friends whose parents bought them houses as a marriage gift, you know? And I think that's just like a beautiful thing. And it's the purpose is to make life less about the material things and focus on being a better person.
Yeah, I think where sometimes issues occur is that in building that wealth for your family, you neglect the wealth of someone's heart.
Yeah,
and who
the
they are as people. So then they have that wealth, but then they don't have
Everything
the
else.
skills to manage it. So they aren't, like I said, you're not raising a person.
Yeah.
Because you're not there, and that's why I'm super like big on just being present for
yeah.
moments, because that I think is more important. As much as I think leaving a good inheritance is important, I also think leaving great memories is important, because at the end of the day, that's something no one can take away.
Yeah.
No one can take away the conversations that you will have with Nuri.
Yeah.
No one can take away those 3 kisses that you share with Zani every day.
That's
And whatever happens in life, whether there's a recession or there's a pandemic or whatever,
They have
he
that.
will have that experience, and that will stay in his heart. So for me, it's that, finding that balance to say, I'm not just going super crazy
Yeah.
on this one end while I'm neglecting the other.
Yeah. And I think most importantly, like we mentioned, it's about conscious parenting. So what we're saying is not it's listening,
yeah.
being present. I think you summed it up well. Being present guides you on how to raise your children.
And because it's conscious parenting, it's obviously going to be modular to every child. So this is like
Yeah.
what we've realized works for our family
Yeah.
and our kids.
Yeah. What have your children taught you? What has your son taught you, and what has your daughter taught you?
They've taught me a lot. But I think the biggest thing I've learned from Uzani is to be daring. Like,
Yeah.
to be confident. And I realized that I used to be confident, but I just somehow it got dumbed down
Yeah.
because I guess it was too loud,
Yeah.
or it wasn't authentic. But I look at that boy, and like Uzani just he believes.
Yeah.
He's like you and your dad. He just believes that he can do anything.
Yeah.
And more than that is when he does it, he appreciates himself.
Yeah.
And he affirms himself.
Yeah.
He says, I did it.
Like he doesn't need
And
anyone.
even if you half did it or you helped him, and this is the difference I've noticed with him and Nuri. Nuri, if you help her, she feels like she didn't do it. She didn't complete.
Yeah.
Uzani, if you help him, he still did
He
it.
still did it. It's still his
Like
word.
he still played a part.
Yeah.
So just seeing that confidence in him reminds me, man, of how life can be when you attempt everything with a positive, optimistic mindset of what you can be.
Love that. Nuri?
And with Nuri, man, I've learned Nuri's got so much love
Yeah.
and nurture and caring.
Yeah.
Like if you sad, she notices.
Oh my gosh.
I've learned to be aware of my environment. Nuri notices everything.
Yeah.
Nothing goes unplanned. Like the other day, the wipers of the car in the back, they did this this shape that the wipers do, right?
Yeah.
Nuri saw a rainbow.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, what? But it's like she sees the world in all of its beauty, and she's so aware of
Yeah.
her environment
Yeah.
that nothing goes missed. Like she notices. And the biggest thing, like I said, like if I come back home and I'm not myself and I'm not talking and whatnot, she will notice that I'm
Yeah.
sad, and she'll
Yeah.
ask me what she can do
Yeah.
to make that go away. And so there's just a level of care and love that I think she has overall, and I want to have that for myself. What have
Yeah.
they taught you?
Yo, I think starting with Nuri, it's because she's me, like
Yeah.
100% me. And when I see her, and I was even talking to my therapist about this, is that she is me without the world telling her to not be me.
Sure.
And she is like, if she's in a room, like you said, she notices everything. If she's in a room and she's uncomfortable, she will not pretend to. You could offer her ice cream and the world. She will not
She does not
pretend
wanna
to.
be
No, she does not want to be there, and she will not pretend to be comfortable. She will be. She'll be herself. And the same way, if she feels excited and she feels joy, she will fully feel that. So I think with her, she's teaching me to be more myself, like, because I watch it, I'm like, hey, you're actually a great person. Like, it's you make situations uncomfortable because you're so much of yourself,
And you're so
but that's not
honest.
because, and you're so honest, but that's not a bad thing. Like, you're authentic, and that's what everybody wants to be. Everybody wants to be authentic, but we can't, because authenticity is awkward in a world where authenticity is not a thing.
Yeah.
You know, so and that's something I want to preserve so much for her, and I think we do that very well. We're trying so hard to make sure that we allow her to be herself no matter what. And then with my son, what has my son taught me? Sure, I think, man, the same thing. Our kids are themselves, man. But Zani has so much. He's got so much dare and so much boldness, and he's
fierce.
he's very fierce and very like, he's very strong in his beliefs, very strong, and he's
stubborn.
He's almost 2, but he's very strong in his beliefs, and you know, the best thing about that is because it's so innocent and it's so real for him. And one of the reasons why we go to therapy, I'm in therapy, is because situations that hurt me, I didn't make them real for me. Like, I excused it to make everybody else comfortable. And now what my son does is, if you've broken his heart, you've broken his heart. If you've made him happy, you've made him happy. If he loves you, he loves you. If you upset him, you upset him. And so I think they both just teaching me to be so authentic, so fierce,
real.
and so bold. And like you said, his confidence, like, if he hears a song on the TV and he likes it, he'll
belts.
literally run. Yeah, firstly he'll belt it out with his whole heart, and then he'll run to the piano and he'll feel it out. Like, you can see he's like almost testing to hear if he's getting it right. And then when we go to bed and he says his prayer, like, Nuri will be like, thank you, Lord. Like, she's poised. And Zani, thank you, Lord. And you can just see this boy is so grateful. It's crazy. But yeah, I think, to sum it up, they've taught me to be myself, to be authentic, and to be
I think
bold.
that's something that I've learned about having kids that I didn't know coming into it, but is that they actually show you how to be a better version
How to be a
of
better version
yourself.
of, yeah, because they're you.
Because in a way they have a lot of your makings.
Yeah.
They have a lot of the same infrastructure that is holding you up, and they're able to be themselves, and you start to realize where those lines kind of meet.
And where you need some healing, because those things that they do that irk you the most, that's where you need your healing.
Yeah.
What makes parenting hard for you? This is my last question.
Makes it hard.
Yeah. Do you want me to go first? Because I've already kind of touched on it.
Yeah, I think you can.
Yeah.
Well, I think. yeah.
Okay. What makes parenting hard for me is seeing my kids do exactly what I do, and then wanting to go off at them, and realizing that that's a place in my life that I need to work on, because they basically they do what we do, and this is why I think it's been a year or 2 years now where I made the conscious decision to not shout anymore. Like, I don't shout at all, because
I wouldn't say at all.
I-
You don't
I-
shout as much.
I don't shout at all.
Ah.
When do I shout?
Sometimes I'll be upstairs.
No, but that's one.
moments.
No. That's when I'm like out of character.
Yes.
That's
But
when
I'm
I.
just
That,
saying
those
that
are those moments.
It's
that
not like a regular thing with you.
Oh no.
It's
not
like you
regular
have
at
to
all.
be pushed over the
I
edge.
like, yeah, I might. I think in those cases, it's when I'm stressed at work, stressed
Yeah.
with you,
Yeah.
and stressed with the kids. That's when I'll just like. That's
Yeah.
just the only. That's when I'll shout. But for the most part, the reason why I don't shout anymore is because I used to, because I thought it's just the normal way of communicating and you don't like something. And then I heard Nuri start shouting. And then she started shouting, Zani! No! And I was like, that is me. That is how I shout. So, it's identifying something in your kids that you still do and then wanting to lash out, but realizing I'm this person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what makes parenting hard? Yeah, man. I just think I think what makes it hard is your own deficiencies.
Yeah.
That's what really makes it hard for me. It's getting to a point where, one, if you don't feel like you're enough, I don't think you can ever feel like you're a good parent.
Sure.
So it's kind of, it's being deficient as a human. Not being whole makes it hard.
Yeah.
And I think having kid exposes that
100%.
in a way, because they can see it and you can feel it through your interactions with them, that ngathi I'm not okay.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't have the patience that I need to have.
Yeah.
I don't have the tools that I need to have just to make it through life generally.
Sure.
And so I think that's what makes parenting hard is it forces you to be a better person.
100%. And to end off, got a quote that says, if you don't listen eagerly to the little stuff when they're little, they won't tell you the big stuff when they are big. Because to them, all of it has always been big stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
And that brings us to the end of our conversation. Remember, what we have spoken is not facts, but truly just our own opinions and our own experiences. Things might change. In 2 weeks' time, we might say something different. It's all about being fully present and understanding.
We're not immune to changing our minds.
We're not immune to changing our minds. We're very open to change. And yeah, more than anything, thank you so much to Made Shield for sponsoring our podcast. And do check them out. They have covers for every family. They've got 8 different covers. You can check out whatever your family needs are. And if you're a new mom or you're pregnant or you just need a few tips on raising kids, do visit Made Shield Mom. And from me, Mpumila Dwaba.
And Brendan Praise.
Thank you very much. We love you.
Cheers.
This is our love story. This is our journey.